Your mindset is the root of your reality. If you can change your mindset, then you can change your life. Welcome, Master Your Vibe. Mind bright, vibe right. The mindset reboot for those ready for some calibration to their vibration. I'm your host, King Yes Indeed, your guide for this vibrational journey, here to help you conquer any mental blocks, fine-tune your inner frequency, and navigate to your higher self. If you're ready to make your mind bright so you can vibe right, then you're in the right place. Let the journey begin. Yes, indeed. Welcome back to Master Your Mindset, the 7 dimensions of mindset. And today, people, we got a good topic for you. We are going to be talking about time. And not just time specifically, but we're going to be talking about time management versus time alignment and how you're really spending your life. Are you just being busy, or are you being productive? Much of our life is bombarded and consumed with managing time or trying to manage time. We have calendars, we have planners, we have training apps. There are these things called life hacks. There are systems that are designed and that we can use to squeeze efficiency out of every hour of the day. And for all of these things, what do you get in return? You get exhausted. Sometimes you get disconnected. Many times you feel unfulfilled, and you get very little value from all of the juggling of this time that you do. It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you don't have discipline. It is because you are busy living a life that doesn't feel like you own it. You are busy living a life that you don't feel like you have many choices in or much control over, sometimes as it relates to your time. Okay, this is where we are going to focus our energy and our thoughts today. This is where we are going to take a look at our perception of our time management and begin to realize and we're going to begin to realize what our time alignment should be. So keep this question in mind. Are you managing your time, or is your time aligned with who you are? Okay, understand there is a meaningful difference between being productive and being purposeful. And today we're going to talk about the difference between time management and time alignment. Your alignment is essential to your peace. Your alignment is essential to your purpose. Your alignment is essential to your growth. So as we walk together today, we are going to figure out how to begin aligning your time with the life you envision for yourself today, with the life you envision for yourself tomorrow, and with the life that you envision for yourself the day after tomorrow. So let's go right ahead and jump on that. And let's go ahead and talk about what time management really is. What time management really is. Sorry, I just had a procedure. Excuse me, I had a procedure yesterday. Colonoscopy, endoscopy, and my voice is struggling. So please forgive me. But we are going to talk about what time management really is and its limits. So let's talk about that. Time management focuses on what you can control, how to control your schedule, right? It focuses on how to control your schedule, meaning how you can control the hours of your day. This can be this can be labeled as quite a few things: planning, preparing, things of that nature. While planning and preparing aren't inherently bad, the thing we have to be careful of is planning just for the sake of planning something. Some of us may find it difficult to not have anything on our calendar. If you see an opening on your calendar, you never once think to schedule some time just for you to do what you want or to do what you desire. You are typically looking at that calendar like empty spaces must be filled with something. It's either an appointment, it's time to go meet someone else. There's another meeting, to have a meeting about the meeting, to have a meeting about the meeting that you need to have to remind yourself that you need to have a meeting. It's usually all of those things. Right. And just because there's an empty space doesn't mean it has to be filled with time for someone else. And we also have this great new invention called Zoom, right? Just because we have Zoom and just because it's called Zoom doesn't mean we now need to rush and do everything, right? It doesn't mean that we need to Zoom from meeting to meeting. How many meetings have you had where you are running up against a deadline and the conversation or thing that you are dealing with has just hit a turning point, right? There's some good information that was just beginning to be shared, or you were just starting to make some real progress and some real headway. And then you hear the dreaded, oh, I'm sorry, I'm pushing up against another deadline. I'm pushing up against another meeting. I have to jump off of this call and jump onto another meeting, only to have that important moment cut short. And you've lost a lot. And now, so what do you have to do? Now you got to schedule another meeting. And so, though, as you transition from one meeting to the other, there's no time to go to the bathroom. There's no time to grab a glass of water. You really didn't have time to even take a deep breath and think about the new meeting and its subject matter and its notes and who it's with and what you're supposed to be talking about. You had no time to decompress from the previous moment when you were on another meeting. This is a prime setup for mental fatigue and mental burnout. Your schedule, the schedule that you set, is so you can remember what you are supposed to do, not so you can force feed yourself more things to do. Okay, let me say that one more time. Your schedule is so you can remember what you are supposed to do, not so you can force feed yourself more things to do. And for some reason, you never tell yourself, or maybe it never occurs to you, to block out some time just for you to do absolutely nothing if you feel like it. Just for you to do something fun if you feel like it. Just for you to go to sleep and take a nap if you feel like it. Or just to sit still and be silent if you feel like it. That time that you need to relax and decompress and be still is valuable and it's important. So let's not forget that that schedule is not just for other people. We need to schedule some time in it for ourselves. All right, time management assumes the problem is time needs to be solved. Right? Remember, and I was having this conversation earlier. Time is neutral. It is constant. It does not speed up, nor does it slow down. It doesn't slow down or speed up based on anything that you are doing or based on anything that you are not doing. Yes, we know the sayings. Time flies when you're having fun. The weekend always flies by. These kids grow up so fast. Oh, this week is dragging on. The reality is none of that is true. It is all based on your feeling of time. Time simply passes by. It can seem to move faster or slower based on your feeling of the circumstances or experience that you are having or that you are dealing with at that moment. But time is constant. It does not go faster or slower for any person. And think about this. How many times have you felt like you have managed your day perfectly? There were no scheduling conflicts. You didn't run late. You accomplished everything on your to-do list for the day, and you still felt like your needle didn't move. You still felt like you worked all day and you didn't accomplish anything. You still felt like you did all of these things throughout the day and you feel like you have nothing to show for it. How many times has that happened? Again, All of these things are true because time management only tells you how to spend your time. Time management does not involve your designed purpose in the scheduling. All right. Time management does not ask if this is healthy for you. Time management does not ask if, does not ask you to consider what's most important to you. It doesn't ask what's worthy to be scheduled. In other words, you and your time are not aligned, but it never asks why. And this is where we're going to get into time alignment. Time alignment focuses on who you are. It focuses on what your values are. And it also focuses on what your priorities are. Does your time reflect who you are? Now, this can involve a lot. It can involve how you make money, or work related things. Most of us schedule things around work simply to get bills paid or to take care of ourselves and our families. That's an automatic 9 hours out of your day that is planned for you in most cases. What you need to do is to pay attention to is what we call the work-life balance. How much of your work is brought home with you? How much time do you carry the stress or the burden of work while you're not being paid for it? I'm going to say this about the place you work, and this is true for everyone that does not own their own business. All right. If you leave the place that you're employed, two things are going to be true. One, you will be replaced no matter how good of an employee you were, or no matter how good they told you you were. And two, that place of employment will continue to operate without you there, without your presence. All right. And so we got to be mindful that, if we work 9 hours, once it's 9 hours and 1 minute, you're off. If you work 10 hours, once it's 10 hours and 1 minute, you are off. And do not carry that stuff from work outside of the time that you are being paid for. Please ask yourself this question. Am I employed in alignment with my purpose? All right. So if your purpose is to, be a nurse or a doctor or be a surgeon, or something like that, that is perfectly fine. But for many of us, that answer is going to be no. Many of us are not working in the area of our design purpose. And this is no indictment, but it could be a wake up call. It could be an awareness, to be mindful that, if we want to combat against time management versus time alignment, we might want to find what our purpose is and then try to find employment in that field. Does your time reflect your values? All right. What values do you have and how much do they play a role in how you utilize your time? I know many times our values will keep us from doing certain things, like perhaps we don't drink, or perhaps we don't go out to clubs. Maybe we don't watch certain TV shows. Maybe we don't curse, or maybe we just don't even deal with certain people. However, what do we put on our schedule, or what kind of time do we carve out because of our values? The most common one I could think of right off the top of my head is most people will attend church because of their values. Right? If you have health values, if you value your health, you may want to schedule some time to maybe work out or run or lift weights or prep healthy food. How about rest and sleep? We talked about that in our last show about sleep. You got to rest and sleep properly. If you value peace of mind, maybe schedule some time for some self-care. The term that I like to use is selfishness. Right? Be selfish for yourself. Go get that massage. Go get in the hot tub. Go take a walk. Get out in nature. Play some video games. Do whatever it is that you feel can help you decompress and relax or have fun. Right? For me, I love to go sit in my RV and just have some peace and quiet. I like to play video games where I just don't have to think too much. I love deep, insightful conversation, and my wife is usually my go to. She's a great source for that. I love playing basketball. Right, I'm getting a little too old for that. So, with my recent injury, I might be rethinking that, but that's for another day. And when when you see you can outline some of the time for this, where is the bulk of your time being spent? These things are not necessarily on my schedule, right? The RV and basketball and all of those things, but I don't feel like I want to put them on the schedule because I don't want to feel constrained. I don't want to feel stressed. I don't want to feel rushed about the time, but they are where I spend a great deal of my time that I have available outside of my normal 9 to 5. Does your time reflect your priorities? All right. The goal of time alignment is not to fit more into your life, right? It is to remove or question what doesn't belong in your life. Again, the goal of time alignment is not to fit more into your life, right? It is to remove or question what doesn't belong there, right? I've told my wife that I don't want to go to work anymore. And, I want to do something. I don't want to do something for anyone. I don't want to punch anybody else's clock and fulfill their goals and their fortunes and their dreams. Don't get me wrong. I'm thankful for the job that I have. I'm thankful that I can go to work and make money and live the life that I live. But what I would like to do is make money according to my purpose and not according to my profession. Again, I would like to make money according to my purpose and not my profession, right? When I talk to my kids and they talk about their priorities, they talk about launching their clothing brand and jewelry brand, right? Shafik. They talk about having enough space to build their own homes on the land that we have. They talk about having certain types of cars, all these wonderful things. Okay, great. Then from there, we have conversations about what they should be doing with their time as it relates to their priorities. If you want to launch a business, you can't be spending time running around at the mall. That ain't getting it. If you want to launch a business, you can't be spending time roller skating and gaming. That ain't gonna get it. With priorities as it relates to you and your time, I will say this: you you should come first, second, and third. Then from there on, whatever your other obligations are. With priorities as it relates to you and your time, I will say that you yourself should come one, two, three. Then you go from there. Line it up. 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 20, whatever it is. Your priorities lay out what's important to you. Right? There are two ways specifically you can tell what's important to someone without asking them a single question. And I know we've heard this before. You look at where they spend their money. That's one. Then you look at where they spend their time. Once you know those two things, where one spends their money and when one spends their time, you will know what a person's priorities are and what's important to them. And so why is time alignment so important? Let's line that up. Let's talk about that. Time alignment creates peace. When you are doing what's important to you, there is no internal conflict. You are not battling with yourself mentally or emotionally with having to do something you would rather not do. Right? How hard is it for you to roll out of bed and go to a job that you don't want to do? How hard is it for you to stay engaged in long drawn out meetings that you don't really care about? Right? How hard is it for you to have to deal with people when your entire being just wants to be alone? Right? These internal conflicts can disrupt your peace. They can disrupt your sleep. They can distort your focus. They can get you off balance. And they can even affect your health. One of the things you must also learn to do is you need to learn to prioritize your needs. I heard this the other day. Someone else's problem does not constitute your emergency. I'm gonna let that sit right there. Someone else's problem does not constitute your emergency. And I don't know if I'm misquoting it, but it was something like that. But you get the point, right? You don't have to budge because somebody else deems that they have a problem, it doesn't necessarily mean it's yours. So you got to be mindful of that. Time alignment reduces your burnout. If you are intentional about where and how you spend your time, it doesn't mean you won't be tired. What happens uh, is that you whatever you're doing becomes more meaningful to you. Right, your sense of fulfillment comes when your identity and your values and your priorities are attached to your schedule. Right, burnout can happen when you are doing what either feels meaningless or when you feel obligated. Okay, I'll give you an example. One example is I don't care for the opera. I just don't like it. I can't really stand it. And it's just other than other than the fact of spending time with my wife, the opera is meaningless to me. So the opera is not a priority for me. So on the flip side, for my wife, she loves spending time with me, but she would rather not do it watching football or basketball. Right? So we don't plan to spend time with each other, typically during those things. What is it for you? Right? Is it watching some reality TV show like Love and Hip Hop with your spouse? Right? Is it that boring Christmas party that you would rather not go to? Is it going shopping? And now you have to be the one waiting outside the store or sitting in the little furniture place holding all the bags because you don't want to be in that section. Is it going outside and doing yard work? Is it cooking? Right? There's something that you have no interest in and no desire to do. And so I'm not going to plan that time. I'm not going to give that a lot of my time because it's not a priority for me. Time alignment protects your energy. When you are doing meaningful and important things, this keeps you from feeling obligated. And I talked about that just a little bit ago. Yes, some things we must do. Right? I want to take care of the properties that I have. And so sometimes they require immediate, unexpected attention. That's fine. You know, but because maintaining them is important to me, I don't feel really a loss of energy. I feel a sense of accomplishment by protecting my investment. I understood this was going to come along with that. When we decided that we were going to have properties, you got to maintain them. You got to fix them. Things are going to go wrong. That's part of the deal, right? Think about some of the things that are valuable to you, right? Your family, your house, your pets, your cars, your friends. Spending time with them or on them seems less like a chore, even when the demand is immediate or unplanned, because those things are important. They are one of your priorities. So now we've talked about a lot of things. We've talked about time management. We've talked about time alignment. Let's talk about some practical ways that we can move from time management to time alignment. All right. And the first thing we got to do, and this is an obvious one, well, maybe not so obvious, but I think it was audit your time. And let's be honest about that, right? The first thing we got to do is we got to be sensible and understand where we are spending our time. And one of the things we need to do is we obviously need to write these things down. And so, I'm huge on journaling. If you have one, let's go ahead and this is probably a time to pause and go grab it. Grab you something to write with and begin to write some of these things down. But if for whatever reason you have not gotten your official copy of the Master Your Mindset, the 7 Dimensions of Mindset journal, what I would like for you to do is go down to the link in the description of this show. Click on it. Right there, you will see the journal that you can go ahead and order, and it'll be to you just as quickly as you can. But until then, let's go ahead and write some of these things down about some practical ways to move from time management to time alignment. All right. Ask yourself some questions. Does the time I am spending on A, B, or C reflect my values? Does it respect my priority? Does it reflect my priorities? And does it reflect who I am? Does it reflect my identity? If the answer is no, then obviously we need to do something to change that. The choice is going to always be yours. Ask yourself, am I moving forward? Am I moving myself forward by spending time on these things, whatever it is? And again, if the answer is no, let's go ahead and assess that, because maybe, just maybe, it is time for a change. One of the things you might want to do is design your day around you and not your clock. And this is, of course, when it's possible. And again, for everybody who works a 9 to 5 or has some sort of career, this is not always going to be easy with the 40 or 50 or 60 hours that you work, but with your time, design your day around you and not your clock. So, um, again, if you have an optimal time when you are most focused, right, that might be a space where you can, um, there might be a space where you can schedule some time to be creative, whatever your creative niche is. If you are an artist, if you are a musician, if you are an actor or actress, if you like to play video games, if you create clothing, whatever it is, that might be a time where you can tap into something that you enjoy, or that you do for your own personal business. And if you normally have a time when you need to recharge, right, this might be a time for you to schedule a nap, or, just to have some downtime, right? Don't schedule any meetings, no visitors, don't drive anywhere, don't accept any phone calls, absolutely nothing. Just schedule in some time for you to be with you. Okay. If you have a time where you are bursting with energy, I mean, you just find that you are amped up at this point in the day, that might be a good time to schedule your workout. Go running, go walking, lift your weights, or whatever it is that you do for fun or as a hobby, right? I love basketball, so I would go play basketball. I think, and again, I talked about I might be transitioning away from that, but I could transition to golf. I can play video games. I can go fly my drone. There are a lot of things where if I just have energy, I can go do these things, and they'll begin to, kind of settle me down. Let's replace busy with intention. In this one, we need to be very particular about what you commit to. Don't just do something because, you told yourself you need to be doing something, right? One of my favorite lines before I commit or say yes to something is, we'll see, or I'll see, right? Oh, hey, Herm, are you going to attend this event? I will see. I'll see. It allows me a space outside of the current conversation to assess my desire, to assess two, my need to attend, and probably most importantly, to assess my capacity to do what is being asked of me. And I think that's one that we overlook is sometimes our capacity. Even my cat has overlooked his capacity in the background. So before committing, now ask yourself, is this aligned with my needs and my priorities? Also ask, is this necessary for me to do? Even more specifically, is this necessary for me to do right now? Maybe it is necessary, but maybe it also can wait. Ask yourself, whose obligation or responsibility is this truly, or is this really? But again, just because someone has a need doesn't mean you have a calling. I'll pause because I want some things to sink in, and I'm going to say it again. Just because someone has a need does not mean you have a calling, right? How many of you get those numbers asking you about, do you need insurance, or do you want to sell a property that you no longer own? Or they're asking you about a car warranty that you owned 15 years ago, right? Those people calling have a need from you. But what does your phone tell you? Your phone helps you identify those by saying, you know what, this is a scam likely, or this caller is unknown. All right. Be sure you can identify when you truly have a responsibility to answer when called upon by others. Again, be sure you can truly identify, right, when you have a responsibility to answer when called upon. Because many times, we just saying yes because we have a hard time saying no, which leads me right into my final point. Let's learn to say no. I talked about this on a previous show. We need to learn to say no. At a minimum, let's just learn to say maybe and not feel guilty about it. All right, this one, Jim, is priceless, and it's also possible, right? The word no or maybe is not rejection. You got to look at it as self-respect. All right, because most of the time you saying no when you don't mean it, or you saying yes when you don't mean it, and you're committing when you don't mean it. And so you're not in a space where you're respecting yourself. So just because you told somebody no, they didn't get rejected, you just respecting yourself a whole lot more. Now, if for whatever reason you can't say no, or you just don't know how to say no, let me give you a few no hacks, that I can use. I already told you one, right? You can use my famous "we'll see" or "I'll see," right? Basically saying, "Hey, look, I'm gonna get back to you," right? And you could use that. The next one I think is professional gold. Here it is. Sorry, I have a scheduling conflict. I have not met a single person that has questioned what your conflict might be. And I think it's just scheduling etiquette, maybe, or scheduling, I don't know, manners. They just move on and try to find another open date for you. All right. My wife gave me a couple. She said, "Hey, let's look out a couple of months. Let's look down the road a couple of months, right?" That lets them know, hey, my schedule is booked up. I'm booked up months in advance. So now the next time they trying to schedule you, now that gives you leeway. They might start out in a couple months, but now if you have the capacity and have the space and have the energy and the will to take it sooner, now you can get them in there. All right. Another one. Let me get back to you with my availability. Again, I don't have my schedule in front of me. I'm gonna have to get back to you. I would like to have the meeting, but I just can't answer your question right now. Right. And finally, just a nicer way to say no. Um, just let them know that's not in my capacity. However, I know someone that I trust that might be able to help you. You can recommend somebody else while telling them no. Hey, her, man, I really need you to make me a video. Yeah, nah, that's, I'm booked out, man. That's not in my capacity right at the time. But I know this other dude that does videos. He does good work. I think he might be right for you. I'll reach out to him and have him contact you. Right, great. Again, that's professionalism. Those professional hacks, man. Professional goal, they gotta work. Now remember to leave the door open just in case you need to immediately turn around and walk out. All right, don't walk into somewhere and then because you can't say no or you don't know how to say no, now you're stuck in that room. No, sir, no, sir. Remember, leave that door open. Don't commit unless you absolutely are able or desire to do it. And then, keep some of your peace and some of your freedom that way. Kings, as always, I'm gonna hit you with some reflection prompts and some affirmations before we get to the final thought. We've been walking this out for a while. My voice is struggling, so we finally come to the end. So, reflection prompt number one: what would my ideal day look like if it fully aligned with my values? Okay, if your day only aligned with what you held dear, with what was important to you, with what you prioritized, what would that day look like? And start trying to envision and making those days. What would my ideal day look like if it fully aligned with my values? Number two, what am I afraid will happen if I stop overcommitting? That's a question right there. It took me a while when I wrote that. I really think about it. Like, man, and maybe you're not afraid, but it just what do you think will happen if you stop overcommitting? Right? You might have a little bit more free time to do some of the things that you sometimes desire to do but are exhausted to do. Again, what am I afraid will happen if I stop over committing? That's a good one. I like that one. And finally, reflection prompt number three: what would change if I planned my time around purpose instead of pressure? Those pauses are just for reflection. What would change if I planned my time around purpose instead of pressure? And I think we're so used to dealing with pressure and feeling like we are required to plan something. We're obligated to plan something. It is necessary to plan something. Like we got to just do. No, let's plan some time around our purpose instead of outside pressure. What would change if I planned my time around purpose instead of pressure? Yes, indeed. Kings, let's get into some affirmations. Affirmation number one: I use my time with intention, not obligation. I talked about obligation earlier. We got to be intentional about how we spend our time. We have to be intentional about how we spend our time. I use my time with intention, not obligation. One more time. I use my time with intention, not obligation. My time and my presence are valuable resources. Yeah, your time and your presence, just like your money, right? Your time, how you spend it, and showing up, that's a valuable resource, right? Don't just spend it all willy nilly, right? My time and my presence are a valuable resource. Friend of the family, Mr. Levy says, you don't make your money conveniently, so don't spend it conveniently, right? Your time, you don't have enough of it. Your time is not convenient, so don't waste it conveniently. My time and my presence are a valuable resource. And finally, I no longer manage time to survive. I align my time to live. And that might be a little bit extreme, but sometimes it can feel like that. It can feel like we're just spinning our wheels. It can feel like, we're just going through, the same old ritual day after day. I no longer manage my time to survive. I align my time to live. Right? Surviving and living, those are two drastically different things. I no longer manage my time to survive. I align my time to live. Kings, my final thought for today is this: as I close out, I want you to remember this. Time doesn't necessarily need to be managed. It does, however, need to be honored. Again, time doesn't necessarily need to be managed, but it does need to be honored. Every hour you spend is a piece of your life that you are not going to get back. And the question isn't how efficiently did you fill the hours of your day? It's whether the time spent reflects who you truly are. And you can manage time and still live disconnected from everything that is closest to you. You can stay busy every single day and still have a life of emptiness. But when you are aligned with the time that you have, that is when things come into focus. That is when your life begins to make sense and draw you closer to your purpose. Remember, alignment doesn't require you to be perfect. It does require you to be honest, though. Right? You got to be honest about what matters to you. You got to be honest about what drains your energy. You got to be honest about um, what you are ready to let go of. Right? Because the moment your time reflects your values, your energy is going to come back. Your focus is going to sharpen. Your peace is going to be in abundance. And your days are going to stop feeling like something mundane and arduous. Right? They're going to start feeling like something exciting and worthwhile. All right. So please, 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 please do me a favor. Stop asking how to do more with your time. What I want you to ask, though, is how to live more intentionally and more truthfully with the time that you've been given. All right, align your time with your purpose. Um, align your time with your purpose. Align your schedule with your spirit. Watch how life begins to move out of chaos and move you into clarity. For everyone listening to my voice right now, you don't need more time. You just need a little alignment. All right. For everyone, everybody, every person, every king listening to my voice, you do not need more time. You're not going to get it anyway. You do not need more time. You just need a little alignment. Kings, as always, thank you for joining me on this episode. Thank you for bearing with my struggling voice on this episode of Master Your Mindset, the 7 dimensions of mindset. So before we get on out of here, Kings, I need you to do one thing. I need you to check your vibe. Because when your vibe is right, mind is bright. Yes, indeed. People, if this podcast has shifted your mindset or moved you to change your vibe, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with somebody that you love, somebody that you care about, or someone that you believe can vibe in a new way. Leave me a review, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at KingYesIndeed. Also, if you are interested in vibe, coaching, consultation, please email me at kingyesindeed@gmail.com. Let's find more personally tailored approach to your vibe. And yeah, I give one-on-one coaching. I can do group coaching through mind or vibe or mindset coaching classes. Until next time, people, check your vibe. Mind bright, vibe right. Yes, indeed.